Hello everyone and welcome. I'm a little bit late with this one at the start of every season. I like to give you a breakdown of this season's modifiers and, well, Brooklyn happened. So a little bit late, but here it is, the breakdown to this season's modifiers. Let's get straight into it. I don't want to touch on some feedback from last season, though. Someone said I talk too much and I don't need to read over all of the modifiers. I apologize. I'll try and be a little bit better, but like people... I kind of read through and break it down as I go. I know you can read this yourselves. I get that. But these videos do well. A lot of you ask me for them every season. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I do, but bear that in mind. So, Global Modifier. We've got the hardcore Global Modifier this season. When I played this on the PTS, I was really confused myself. I didn't really get it. I thought it was awful. I thought this isn't going to be good. It needs buffing. However, I've since played with it, learned it, and this is why we're doing this video. So, you receive 3 new attributes: firearms, stamina, and electronics, basically from the Division 1, right? It's a throwback to the Division 1 because of Brooklyn. Each one provides a bonus that scales based on its current tier. At different thresholds, you reach a new tier, up to tier 5. So when you're playing, there's a clip on screen now. Notice the left side of my HUD. You've got those 3 different attributes. You got firearms, which is red, stamina, which is blue, electronics, which is yellow, and you'll notice that enemies will have these above their heads as well. Some will hold multiple, some will hold one, some won't even have them. But you're looking for these above the enemy's head, and when you kill that enemy, so say an enemy has the firearms, a red symbol above their head, and you kill them, that's going to give you some weight on your red attribute, your firearms attribute. The more red enemies that you kill, this will go up, and you'll eventually go to tier 2 and so on until you reach tier 5. This is the same with the blue stamina and the yellow electronics. Whatever enemies you're killing, whatever symbols are above their head, are going to score you on your attributes. So the more yellow enemies that you kill, the yellow symbol, your yellow attribute will go up, blue, red, so on. So just keep on killing enemies and you'll keep on scoring for your attributes, and these will raise in tiers. So that's really simple, to be honest with you. You don't need to think anything about it. That's happening. You don't need to change your playstyle or anything. Just kill stuff. You're going to be rewarded for it. Now, the score's baselines are affected by the cores on your gear, and they can be raised by eliminating enemies marked with the hostile countermeasures. So we've just gone over that, really. The hostile countermeasures are what's above their heads, so that's how you're raising yours, by killing them. But also it does say the score's baselines are affected by the cores on your gear. So I'm guessing that if you've got like an all red build, you might not get as much score for killing the red enemies, or you might get more. Not 100% how that scoring works. But again, to keep it very simple, just kill enemies. The color above the head is going to score your attributes. Now, with the firearms, this is how the red firearms will work as it goes up through the tiers. You'll gain critical hit chance bonus that does not count towards the critical hit chance cap. So this means that if you're at critical hit chance of 60%, this will add on to that. At tier 5, all ammo is also refilled when you reach it. So tier 1 bonus for this is going to give you 2% crit chance, tier 2 4%, tier 3 5%, tier 4 6%. At tier 5 you'll have 10% additional crit chance, meaning on a 60% crit chance build you will be a 70% crit chance. For stamina, you're going to gain bonus armor for every 300,000 damage that you take. At tier 5 all your armor kits will also be refilled, so that's when you reach tier 5 that'll happen. Now, the bonuses for this, when you get to stamina tier 1, you'll have 1% bonus armor for every 300,000 damage that you take. Tier 2 is 1.5%, 3 is 2%, 4 is 2.5%, and then 5 is 3.5%. And then electronics, every time a skill is used, your other skill's cooldown is reduced. Shields do not trigger this though. And at tier 5, all skill cooldowns are reset. So the bonuses per tier for this one, if you were to use a skill at tier 1, it's going to reduce your cooldown by 7.5%. Tier 2 is 11.3%, 13.8% at tier 3, 16.3% at tier 4, and 22.5% at tier 5 on electronics. Now, all this is happening naturally. Nothing to think about. This will be happening as you play. So you might notice while you're playing, you've used your revive hive, all of a sudden you get to electronics tier 5 and your revive hive is back right away. That's because when you reach tier 5, all your skill cooldowns are reset. You might notice when you're taking damage, you're getting a bit of bonus armor back. That's because as you're going up tier in stamina, you're given bonus armor for taking damage. And the firearms, you might not notice that much because just crit chance. But at tier 5, all your ammo will be refilled, which is pretty cool. So again, nothing to think about. This is all happening as you play. Play however you want. These bonuses are there. You might as well activate the modifiers just because there's no harm in doing so, right? There will be hostile modifiers though, as always. So let's go over them now. There's 3 hostile modifiers, and these are going to be based on what mark the enemy has above their head. So let's start with the electronics mark. This is the yellow mark. If you see an enemy with this, the marked enemy is going to take 33% less damage from skills and 33% damage to weak points, less damage to weak points. While the gadgets are deployed, they take minus 33% damage as well. Eliminating or assisting in eliminating an enemy marked with the electronics mark yields some electronic score. So one thing to mention about this season's modifiers is that it is team-based. There's a lot of like assisting involved, working in teams, working together and buffing your teams as well. So it's pretty cool. It's the first time they've done that. Moving on to the firearms mark. This is the red mark above their head. If an enemy has this, the marked enemy gains 15% weapon damage and 20% movement speed. Eliminating or assisting in eliminating an enemy marked with the firearms mark yields some firearms score. And then finally, the stamina mark. This is the blue mark above their head. The marked enemy gains overheal. Critical hit damage is reduced by 35% on this enemy, and eliminating or assisting in eliminating an enemy marked with the stamina mark yields some stamina score. Now, they can have multiple marks. If you were to see an enemy with a blue, red, and a yellow mark above their head, they've got all 3. Now, I'll be honest, this is noticeable, especially on the blue marks, because when they have the blue marks, they have that overheal, so they have that green bar, and they also feel tankier. But it's nothing too bad. It's not as bad as going back to the first seasons of modifiers with all the disrupt and shock and everything. Nothing as bad as that. And with how much power we have nowadays, it's not that much of a concern. So let's go out of hostile modifiers and back to our modifiers. That's how hardcore works. Nothing you need to think about, really. You don't need to adjust your playstyle, like I said. Just play. All of this is going to be in effect. But you do have active modifiers and passive modifiers again. So we're going to take a look at these. We'll start with the active modifiers. Now, you start with one straight away this season. I think it was Broken Link. And you've got to unlock all of the others through the seasonal journey. And same with the passive modifiers. The passive modifiers are also unlocked through the seasonal journey. You won't have these available until you've done that. So just make sure you're working on your journey and you get these unlocked. Once you've got them all unlocked, you can play around with them and have on what you want. But let's take a look. We'll have a look at the Assault Link first. We'll go through these in this order. So with the Assault Link, if you have this on, this is going to be your Alt that you can press. You press T on PC. I think it's up on your D-pad on controller. With this, your firearms attribute is going to be set to tier 5 right away. This means that you'll get your 10% critical hit chance from just pressing this. And then for the duration of the ability, you will gain 5% weapon damage for every non-red core equipped. So if you have a build with like blue cores on, yellow cores on, they are all going to give you extra weapon damage when you proc this. If it's an all-red build, you're not going to get any of that. Attributes are frozen and bonuses are multiplied by 4 when you proc this. This means that 10% crit chance that you get from the firearms tier 5 is going to turn into 40% crit chance. So if you're running a crit chance build at 60%, all of a sudden you'll be 100% crit chance. And the passive modifier values are also multiplied by 2. On activation, allies within 25 meters are granted a boost to their firearms score. So if your teammates are near you, they get a boost to that. And the modifier's duration is increased by 3 seconds for each ally nearby. Once the effect ends, all attribute scores go back to the baseline values. The duration is 25 seconds, and you can do this every 60 seconds. Broken Link, on activation, you're going to freeze all your attributes at the current score and multiply the value of each current attribute bonus by 2. Your passive modifier values are multiplied by 2 for the duration of the modifier, and once the effect ends, all attribute scores go back to the baseline values. So it ain't as good as like the Assault Link there, but it allows you to do it when you want, and its cooldown is every 30 seconds. It lasts for 25 seconds. So you can pretty much do this all the time. And then the security link. With this one, your stamina attribute will be set to tier 5 when you proc it. For the duration of the ability, you're going to gain 60,000 total armor for every non-blue core equipped. Attributes are frozen and bonuses are multiplied by 4, as with the other one we discussed, and the passive modifier values are multiplied by 2 as well. On activation, allies within 25 meters are granted a boost to the stamina score, and the modifier's duration is increased by 3 seconds for each ally nearby. Once the effect ends, all attribute scores go back to the baseline values. Again, duration is 25 seconds with a 60-second cooldown. You have rich environment. With this one on activation, 3 unmarked targets within 35 meters will each gain a different mark. So these are those red, blue or yellow marks. For the next 15 seconds, all of your eliminations and assists is going to yell ×2 attribute score multiplier. So when you use this, you'll be getting that score on your attributes quicker by getting kills on marked targets. After the time is up, all attributes are then frozen at the current score, and the values of the bonuses are multiplied by 4 for 25 seconds. Passive modifiers are multiplied by 2, and once the effect ends, all attribute scores go back to their baseline values, and you can do this every 30 seconds. The tech link, your electronics attribute is set to tier 5. For the duration of the ability, you gain 10% skill efficiency for every non-yellow core equipped. Attributes are frozen and bonuses are multiplied by 4, passive by 2. On activation, allies within 25 meters are granted a boost to electronics score, and the modifier's duration is increased by 3 for each ally nearby. Once the effect ends, all attribute scores go back to the baseline values. Duration 25 seconds, cooldown 60 seconds. So again, nothing really to think about with any of them. Basically, as you are building up your attribute, as you can see on screen now, when you're happy, you're just going to proc those modifiers and multiply them by 4 and multiply your passive modifiers by 2, giving you a boost. Once it runs out, they'll be reset and you'll be charging these up again until you want to use your ult again. So if you're using the assault link, for example, that gives you boost to tier 5 right away in assault, you're basically just going to be increasing your crit chance by 40% once you've done that for 25 seconds. You'll be able to do that every single 60 seconds. So you can have 100% crit chance on a 60% crit chance build every time you do that. And then there's some modifiers that will, some passive modifiers that will then boost your crit damage as well. So you can be really powerful for that 25 seconds. So talking about passive modifiers, we'll take a look at them now. We'll start off at the top and go down. We've got extra padding. For this, you're going to gain 5% protection from elites per blue core while at tier 5 in stamina. So you do need to be at tier 5 for that. It's not going to come in effect until you are. So this could be good on a build where you are using that security link. You're making yourself go to tier 5 stamina quite often. Or it could be good to use on a build where you're not using ults that much. You're maxing out your attributes and you're just going to keep your attributes maxed out all the time because you'll constantly have that 5% protection from elites per blue core, which could be quite good. There's hands-on. While at electronics tier 5, 50% of your current skill ace value is added as a skill damage bonus. Again, you've got to be tier 5 electronics. Disrupt resistance is increased by 10% for each electronics tier with interference blocker. Loaded up, 25% of your critical hit chance value is added as critical hit damage while at tier 5 in firearms. Safety first, hazard protection is increased by 7.5% for each stamina tier. Specialized, signature weapon damage is increased by 10% for each firearms tier. And then there's some hybrid ones. A tier a day, for each tier in any attribute gain 10% total health. There's multitasker, while at tier 5 in all attributes receive 7.5% weapon damage, 85,000 max armor and 1 skill tier. Supportive, while at least tier 3 in both stamina and electronics, your outgoing and incoming repairs are increased by 25%. There's tech upgrades. While at least tier 3 in both firearms and electronics, your skill duration is increased by 25% of your current critical hit damage value. And then the best kind of defense. While at least tier 3 in both firearms and stamina, gain 2.5% headshot damage for every 100,000 total armor that you have. And that's it. That is the Global Modifier Hardcore. in a nutshell. I've kind of just read through all that again, like someone complained about a while ago, but I did add some more in there, so I hope you understand it a little bit more if you didn't. And I'm now going to go through a build and how I'm using these once I've got them unlocked and explain how I use it, which will hopefully give you some more understanding of how this works if you are still struggling. So I love the active modifier Assault Link. With this, the reason I like this is because of the build I'm using. I'll show you the build in a minute. But I run a build with a lot of blue cores. So with this, every time I proc it, which you don't need to do all the time, this is the key thing. You don't have to proc your ult. We're so used to wanting to proc it all the time. With this modifier, again on the clip on screen now, you can see that we are building up our attributes. We're building up our firearms, we're building up our stamina, we're building up our electronics. You're not going to lose these. These don't degrade. You can get to tier 5 in all three quite easily. And even when you're out of combat, they're going to stay at tier 5, which means you can have tier 5 buffs from the hardcore modifier all the time, which means some of the passive modifiers can always be active. Now, obviously you want to use your active modifier, but you can choose wisely when to use that, knowing that you're going to lose these buffs that you've got once they've gone on cooldown and you need to charge them up again. And that's kind of how I play, which is why I set up like this. So again, when I do proc it, I will go to tier 5 on the firearms, and then for duration of that, we're going to get 5% weapon damage for every non-red core attribute equipped. So you'll see my build in a minute. I'm taking full advantage of that pretty much. And then everything's going to be times by 4 on the attribute. So I'll get that 40% crit chance, which is the main thing, right? And also my passives are going to be multiplied by 2. I like the Assault Link. It works well. And the passive modifiers that I go with, again, this will make a bit more sense when I show you the build. Loaded up. 25% of my critical hit chance value is going to be added as critical hit damage while at tier 5 in firearms. Thinking back to what I just said about not always using my ult, just letting my attributes max out. If I'm running around with maxed out attributes, I'm adding 10% crit chance, and then I'm adding 25% of my crit chance to my crit damage at all times until I use my ult. When I use my ult, they are both having a huge boost while it's active. Once it goes onto cooldown, I'll lose all of that until I build it up again back to tier 5. But that's kind of how I'm playing. So I'll use my ult when there's a boss or there's a moment where I need that sort of surge in damage. I won't just use it willy-nilly. I'll be making sure those moments I use my ult are the right moments, because that way I've got more buffs on me for a longer duration than using this all the time and constantly losing them, having to rebuild them back up. The next passive modifier I'm using is Multitasker. While at tier 5 in all attributes, I receive 7.5% weapon damage, max armor, and a skill tier. Again, how I'm playing this, I'm not using my ult all the time. I'm trying to get all of my attributes to max. So once they are all at max, I know I'm getting this buff. I'm getting that extra weapon damage and that extra skill tier. And then with this passive modifier, the best kind of defense, while at least tier 3 in both firearms and stamina, I gain 2.5% headshot damage for every 100,000 total armor that I have. And again, because I'm saving those tiers, I'm not using them, I've got this a lot of the time. So let's take a look at the build that I have this on. This is my blue striker build. It works very well with this build, and those modifiers just work great with it, especially that Assault Link, because I need blue cores. Well, I need cores that aren't red. Well, on this, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cores that aren't red. Whether it's counting the memento blue and skill tier, I don't know. If it is, that's 6 cores that are not red, that I'm getting extra weapon damage for when I do use that Assault Link. But when I'm not using that Assault Link, I'm charging them up, I'm getting them all to max, and with that I'll be increasing my base damage a little bit, as well as headshot damage for every 100,000 armor that I have. Well, it's 2.5% for every 100,000. I'm at 1.6 million. So without mathing too much, I think that's like an extra 30 to 40% headshot damage on the build all the time, where my firearms and electronics are a tier 3. They only both need to be a tier 3. So these are great buffs to have, and I think that's where a lot of people might be getting a little bit confused with these modifiers, is that they're so used to just using the ults all the time. With this modifier, it really is about just stacking firearms, stamina, and electronics up. It's not about using your ults all the time. It's about using the ults at the right time and taking full advantage of the stacks in attributes that you're getting, because these attributes are buffing you as they go, and if they're all at tier 5, you're getting maximum buffs along with all the passive modifiers that you choose to have, and that's kind of like how I'm using this. And as I said, this build's perfect for these modifiers, how I've got them set up. If you've been watching the streams, so many people are asking what build am I using. It's this. It absolutely annihilates. The modifiers work well with it. We've got so much survivability. We're getting so much more extra damage out of the build as well. Like, I'm running in a 4-person group. I just got this new caretaker assault rifle, and I'm getting like over 1 million crits. I think I seen a 1.4 million crit earlier on in stream today, and that's on a build with all these blue cores. Now, it's insane. I do need to charge that up. I do need to charge my striker stacks up, my obliterate stacks up, and I need to get, that killer procced on the assault rifle. But it's huge damage, huge survivability, and it is comfortable. Heroic difficulty right now just feels an absolute breeze with this build, the way the modifiers are set up and the way the build is. Now, some of you are also asking me about some of the journey objectives and how to complete some of them, because some of them are modifier specific. You get a little bit confused with what they're asking of you. That's going to be a separate video. If anything I've explained today helps you with that, then great. But if not, tomorrow, so after posting this video tomorrow, I am hoping to have that journey guide out. I'm going to be going through the whole journey, mission by mission, objective by objective, and explaining exactly how to get every single one of them. So any questions on that, save it for tomorrow. Watch the video, it will be covered. But I do hope this video has been helpful today. It's explained the season's modifiers to you and give you a little bit of a different mindset if you are confused, because I know I certainly was confused when I hit it on the PTS, but having time to play with this now and just see how it works, it's actually very simple. It requires very little from you. Turn them on, just kill stuff, and don't think you have to ult all the time. Just think about that. Whatever build you're trying to put together, just remember that you don't need to ult all the time. How's the stamina? How's the electronics? How the firearm? How are they going to work on your builds when they're just all maxed out? Won't take too long to max out, so just think about that when you're selecting what passive modifiers you want to put on them and what your active modifier you want to be for those moments where you just want that extra surge in power at the cost of starting again to get all of those stacked up. I hope the video has been helpful today, guys. I'm going to end this now with a load of plugs, so do feel free to cross away. But thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button. Comment down below as well, because any engagement that you give me will help push the video through the YouTube algorithm. So thank you. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with future content and my journey guide that goes out tomorrow. Right next to the sub button is also a join button. Becoming a channel member is a great way to support me even more and unlock exclusive Discord access with me if you want that. And for that, you will need to come and join my Discords. All of my Discord links are down below in the video description, so make sure you go and check them out and come and join our community regardless. As always, I appreciate your time, and until next time, take care.